listening? Are you listening? Do you know you're not alone? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm the voice that calls you home. Can you take a broken promise and find the truth that still remains? Can you hold a candle to the sun and kindle a new flame? Can you open up a window with the opening of your eyes? Can you let the river run away? Can you let your soul cry? Are you listening? Are you listening? Do you know you're not alone? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm the voice that calls you home. Can you speak the tender treasures that lie nestled in your heart? Can you take a precious moment and send it to the stars? Are you following the rhythm of the rocking of the waves? Are you standing in your darkness, being brave? Sing with me. Are you listening? Are you listening? Do you know you're not alone? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm the voice that calls you home. One more time. Are you listening? Are you listening? Do you know you're not alone? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm the voice that calls you home.
So I invite you to close your eyes with me as we prepare ourselves to listen to today's message. Become aware of your breath. And notice how you don't have to think about breathing. It's as if life is breathing you. And notice how your breath flows with ease, in and out, in and out, in that beautiful rhythm of life. And with every breath, allow your body to feel heavier. Allow whatever is supporting your body to carry your weight. Until your body is doing no physical work. And notice your mind and your thoughts. And how they continue. And allow them to do what they do without resistance. And instead of paying attention to your thoughts, drop beneath them. Find that place deep within you, which is eternal. It may be in your chest, in your heart area. You may feel it more in your belly. Wherever it is. Connect with that part of you. And feel the peace that is always yours. When you remember to reach for it. And rest in that place of joyful contentment. Whenever life feels overwhelming. Let this meditation be a reminder that with a few intentional breaths, with dropping beneath the busy thoughts, we can always find peace which is wholehearted, peace that passes understanding. The voice that calls you home is always within you. And in the silence now, relax. Give thanks. And allow peace to fill you. And so it is.
Are you listening? Are you listening? Do you know you're not alone? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm the voice that calls you home. Are you listening? Are you listening? Do you know you're not alone? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm the voice that calls you home.
Thank you, Nathan. What a beautiful song. Written by Beverly Elliott, who is here a couple of weeks ago. Beautiful words. Thank you. Today is Palm Sunday. It is the beginning. Where's my palm? There we go. Palm Sunday marks the beginning of Holy Week, which is the most important week in the traditional Christian calendar. It is the week in which we remember the last week of Jesus' life. And it starts with Palm Sunday. It includes Maundy Thursday, which is the day that Jesus had the Last Supper, the day that Judas betrayed Jesus, and the day that in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus allowed himself to be taken prisoner. And then, of course, that follows Good Friday, which is a total bummer, a real downer, because Jesus was executed on that day. And then Holy Week ends with the celebration of Easter Sunday, the day on which Jesus' tomb was found empty. And while here at Unity, we don't think of Jesus' death and resurrection as something that is required by God because we are sinners. We don't think of Jesus as being a king or of God being a king, for that matter. We do think of Jesus as our example, our exceptional example. And we do look at his behaviors and his teachings for inspiration. And so today I want to review the story about Palm Sunday and how it shows up in our lives on the outside as well as on the inside. First, let me just do a quick summary about the story of Palm Sunday. It is one of the very few stories, relatively few stories, in the 4 Gospels that actually shows up in each of the Gospels. So we have 4 Gospels that sort of tell the story of Jesus: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And some Gospels tell one story only, and then, the Gospel of Luke, you'll find the birth story, but you won't find that in John, for example. Well, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John all tell the story of Palm Sunday. And the story is that Jesus had been out of town in Bethany, a nearby village, and he is making his way into Jerusalem. And as he approaches the city, he sends his disciples to find a donkey. And then he enters Jerusalem on the donkey at the east gate. People rally around him. They lay down robes and palms on the ground. They wave their palms in the air. And they shout echoes of the word which is found in Psalm 118 in the Hebrew scriptures, were written hundreds of years before. Hosanna, which means deliver us now. Then Jesus makes his way through the streets of the temple, and all the people are absolutely loving him. They are so excited that he's there. And when he gets to the temple, he sees the priests doing their prayers. And he sees the money changers selling sacrificial doves to the people who will be used, to people who are buying animals for sacrifice because Passover is imminent. And in a pretty rare display of upset, Jesus turns over the tables of the money changers. He drives out the animals that are going to be slaughtered. He drives them out with a whip. And he tells everyone who hears that the temple, quote, shall be called the house of prayer, but you have made it into a den of thieves. And then also in Matthew, we are told that Jesus then stays at the temple after he's caused all this commotion. He stays at the temple and he heals the blind and the lame. And much to the upset of the priests and the teachers of the law at the temple, the children who are there sing Jesus' praises, saying, Hosanna to the Son of David. And at the end of the day, Jesus goes back with his friends to Bethany. That's the story. Jesus comes in to town by the east gate. He's celebrated as he walks in on a donkey or is carried in on a donkey. Then he causes this kerfuffle at the temple. And then he goes about his business of healing and teaching. What is the context of this story? It's important, I think, to understand the context because there is so much that matters when you look at a story in isolation. It doesn't have as much meaning as if you can understand what some of the things are that might be going on behind the scenes. And the context is that it is the season of Passover. And so people of the Jewish faith, including Jesus, are making their annual pilgrimage to Jerusalem, as they do at Passover, to worship at the temple. And at the same time, maybe a few days earlier, maybe right around that same time, it is very likely that a Roman procession of troops and cavalry are entering the city from the main gate, which is the west, in the west. That procession was headed up by Pontius Pilate, the governor. And Pontius Pilate's group was coming to act as reinforcements for the regularly stationed garrison in Jerusalem. Why? Because the population of Jerusalem at Passover would raise, because of the number of pilgrims, to nearly 250,000 people in a very, very short period of time. And so these extra troops were there to help keep the peace during this intense time with all these people. The other thing that you want to know is that at that time, the Jewish people were occupied by the Romans, and yet they had a very high level of religious freedom. So they could enjoy their celebrations of Passover and other religious celebrations, kind of as long as they behaved themselves. And so the people who would keep that balance going were the Sadducees and the Pharisees, who were the leadership of the Jewish people, the religious leadership of the Jewish people. And yet, despite the fact that they had all this religious freedom, the Jewish people were still an occupied nation. They wanted their homeland back, and they want to be free of Roman occupation. They are also a deeply religious people, and they know their scripture. And 460 years prior to this Passover, in the book of Zechariah, we see it, but Zechariah the prophet wrote this. And it is heard almost verbatim. If you hear Handel's Messiah, you will hear this, Zechariah, chapter 9, verse 9, which says, "Rejoice greatly, O daughter Zion. Shout aloud, O daughter Jerusalem. Lo, your king comes to you. Triumphant and victorious is he, humble and riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey. He will cut off the chariot from Ephraim and the war horse from Jerusalem. And the battle bow shall be cut off, and he shall command peace to the nations. His dominion shall be from sea to sea and from the river to the ends of the earth." So here was Jesus walking in the east gate of Jerusalem on a donkey, apparently fulfilling the prophecy in Zechariah about the king coming to them to deliver them from the war horse, deliver them from these occupiers. And so they are so excited that this is their Messiah, that they come to Jesus and they celebrate him with the waving of palms and the laying down of their cloaks. Imagine the hope and the energy that these people must have felt as they looked to Jesus to be the person who would deliver them to freedom. He would drive the chariots and the war horses and the battle bows away from their people and bring in peace. No wonder they were so excited. But Jesus wasn't that kind of king. For some, at least, it must have seemed like he went from being a hero to being a zero in the matter of a few days, if not a few hours, because it wasn't even the next day, it was in the same day that he went to the temple and he caused this massive commotion. Imagine what they must have felt and how confused it must have been. Confusing it must have been. I imagine they felt angry and hurt, disappointed. Maybe they felt that Jesus had deceived them in some way. So 0 to 0. Which explains perhaps why on Good Friday when the people had the opportunity to save Jesus, they chose to save somebody else. Imagine their shock. The Roman occupiers who had political power, they probably didn't pay that much attention to Jesus. Not at this point, anyway. He was likely just kind of a rogue person making noises over there, but nothing to be concerned about. Because as long as they had their relationship with the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and those leaders were taking care of the people, they didn't feel like they had anything to worry about. But imagine the shock of the religious leadership. They not only would have been, we know that they were irritated because the children worshiped Jesus, but imagine the fear that they may have experienced. Because Jesus coming and making all of this commotion threatened their everyday way of doing things. And I imagine that a part of them was really concerned that if that became too much of a troublemaker, that the Roman leadership would come along and curb some of their freedom. And that wouldn't be good for any of the people. And so I actually feel for those Pharisees and Sadducees. Jesus, on Palm Sunday, passed that tipping point. And as is sung in the musical Jesus Christ Superstar, the religious leadership made the decision that this Jesus must die. And through his actions then on Palm Sunday, we see that Jesus is equally willing to be seen and accepted as a hero, as well as the person creating commotion, and the fallout of that is 0. What can we learn from this? That's all just context. But what can we learn for us in this story? Well, maybe it is that we also can find a way to be less attached to the expectation of others, less affected both by their applause and by their criticism, because what we know is that recognition and applause and criticism are two sides of a coin that are very easily flipped. And if we can see that just in these last few days with the commotion caused with Kate Middleton, Princess Kate. And remember how she was kind of out of sight, and people were questioning what was going on and making up all kinds of nonsense stories. making her into a zero. Until she was ready and came and told what was going on. Now she's a hero. The point about that is that if we focus on what other people think, we are never going to be true to ourselves, because what other people think will change from day to day. I keep hearing the word fickle in my mind, and I don't like it. But isn't it true that we can change opinions on a dime? So what can we see so that we can be less affected, more centered, more aware of what is calling us in our life? I'll give you a few ideas. The first is to choose the road less traveled. Choose the road less traveled. We see that Jesus is heading into Jerusalem along with thousands of other pilgrims, most of whom will be coming in through the West Gate, the easier route, the wider gate. And if we think of that journey as a metaphor, then just like those thousands of people, we also are on a journey of life. And some people may call it a spiritual journey, and other people may call it a search for meaning, and others may just call it life. But isn't it true that we often take the easier route? Whatever we're doing in a day, that if there's an easier way to do it, or the way that everybody else does it, that we often will take that path. Jesus chooses to enter by the road less traveled, the road with fewer people. It is a path that requires more focus, more intention. And it required that he be aware enough to step away from the crowd. And that may be true for us, that in our journey to joy and to new life, it may mean that we want to step away from the actions of the crowd. And in our lives, everyday lives, that means doing things a little differently than the people around us. And in our inner lives, it means being willing to be intentional and not doing things based on the habits that we've always had. The easy way, the patterned response. We always do it this way. It doesn't always work. Sometimes it does. But what if I did it this way? Choose more intentionally when you enter the gate. Concept number 2. Arrive in peace. Jesus arrives on a donkey. That stands in sharp contrast to the way that the Roman garrisons would have been entering at the West Gate, because they would have been coming in on their war horses. And according to ancient tradition, donkeys were considered animals of peace, where horses were considered animals of war. In fact, if a king was coming to a meeting and came on a horse, it would have symbolized his intention to be warlike. if he came on a donkey, it would symbolize that he was coming in peace. And what I see from this horse and donkey comparison is that power does not come from these outer trappings. True greatness comes from within. By coming in on a donkey, Jesus made a statement that he was no greater or lesser than anyone else. He was willing to be humble. He started peacefully. When you start your day, when you start any interaction, do you come in peace, as if on a donkey? Or do you come with a bit of a warlike attitude, ready to fight, ready to show power by force? In everything you think, everything you say, everything you do, choose to arrive with an attitude of peaceful power rather than forceful aggression. Concept 3. Choose contemplation over chaos. This fits into Unity's fourth principle, which is that we encourage people to take time to be still. When Jesus gets to the temple, presumably he's going there to pray, and he notices that there is so much focus on the busyness and the business of the temple that the focus on prayer, the focus on introspection, the focus on praise is lost. And that's when he gets upset, because we've lost our sense of what's important. The tables in the temple represent the distractions that get in the way of our peace. And in our outer life, it is the busyness and the business, the chaos and the commerce that we all have to live in to some extent. And we want to make sure that it has its place and that we take time to focus on what matters. And the idea of overturning is the idea of shifting. Like, this is no longer important. This is. In our beliefs, in our inner world, the overturning of the tables represents shifting our priorities to what matters, away from business and busyness to contemplation. At the beginning and the end of the day, the Alpha and the Omega, we want to make sure that we are focused on what matters. What is interesting in the Gospel of John is the overturning of the tables at the temple is told at the beginning of Jesus' ministry. And all the other three Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, show the tables turning at the end of his ministry. I see that as a reminder that it's all the time, that we want to be noticing what our tables are and turning them over. Focus on what matters. And finally, let's consider the palms. Concept number 4 that I want to share with you today. And that is to please celebrate who you are. Palms signify strength, receptivity, enthusiasm. They are the universal way to honor a hero. They're a way that we say we're grateful to you. We trust you to do good for us. They represent victory. The high school I went to when I was in South Africa, our crest had 2 palms. They always represent valor. Think of how easy it would have been for Jesus to change his mind. By the time that Palm Sunday came, Jesus had foretold his death 3 times. At any point, he could have swayed from his mission. He could have been swayed by the adoration of the crowd. He could have been swayed away from making the commotion at the temple. What the palms signify for me is that Jesus knew who he was and what he was here to do. To heal, to share love, to show a different way to be in relationship with the divine. And in order to follow what was in his own heart and in his own integrity, Jesus was willing to walk away from those expectations of others. He was willing to withstand the disappointment, the upset, the judgment, the rage. He was willing to withstand the adoration, knowing that he would likely be letting these people down. We want to have the strength and courage of our convictions to chart our own course and withstand and even expect pushback from the people around us who will have different ideas. When we are able to withstand the voices of doubt from out there, the people around us, or the voices in our minds, which are so much more powerful, when we're able to hold firm to our own deep inner convictions, this is how we are choosing the road less traveled to get to the holy city. This is how we walk in humility and peace. This is how we overturn the tables and release attachment to our old habits and beliefs. This is how we move from a place of chaos to a place of calm. As we become more focused on prayer and gratitude, on the things that matter, we discover we have life to celebrate. And so let these palms today represent and honor Jesus' commitment to his mission of love and acceptance and peace. But let them also represent and honor each one of our own personal commitments to our own individual missions of love and acceptance and peace. And as we follow Jesus' example on Palm Sunday, let us remember to choose the narrower path, to arrive in peace, to choose contemplation over chaos, and to celebrate every step of the way. Hosanna.
I have to say, I'm blessed with the opportunity to perform at many different centers. Do you know how blessed you are to have this minister? I just want to make sure you knew that, because wow. It's always my intention to, at this point in the service, I like to make the analogy of baseball. I like to think of getting Reverend Rona to third base, and this song is going to bring her home. So this is my contribution to what she talked about, us being true to ourselves. Wholehearted life. We've sung this before, and the chorus is really simple, so I'm hoping as you remember it that you'll sing it with me. I want to have a wholehearted life, a wholehearted life, where no matter what's done or left undone, I belong and I'm enough. A wholehearted life, a wholehearted life, where I'm worthy of love. This looking for certainty is really exhausting me. Perfect though I've tried to be, I've not been. Alone with my guilt and shame, afraid of more pain and blame. I know not to stay in the game that I can't win. Time to make myself a brand new choice. I want to have a wholehearted life, a wholehearted life, where no matter what's done or left undone, I belong and I'm enough. A wholehearted life, a wholehearted life, where I'm worthy of love. This is the verse that I think is particularly appropriate for this morning. So I choose to be set free, take responsibility, stand in vulnerability, and speak my heart. To get love, I must give love. To belong, I must reach out. To find truth, I must be true and play my part. 'Cause owning my story and loving myself too are the bravest things I'll ever do. I want to have a wholehearted life, a wholehearted life, where no matter what's done or left undone, I belong and I'm enough. A wholehearted life, a wholehearted life, where I'm worthy of love. Once again, I want to have a wholehearted life, a wholehearted life, where no matter what's done or left undone, I belong and I'm enough. A wholehearted life, a to love. I'm able to love. Able to love. Once again, I'm able to love. Able to love. Worthy of love. I'm worthy of love. Worthy of love. Able to love. I'm able to love. Able to love.
What a day. Thank you so much. I'm so inspired. Okay, announcements. Please join us in person and on Zoom tomorrow for Monday meditation from 10:30 to 11:15. We check in with each other, we enjoy a guided meditation, and we read the names of the people on our prayer list. To add a person to the prayer list, please fill in the prayer request slip found in your welcome packet with the person's first name and the first initial of their last name, and place it in the offering basket. You can also send us an email or submit a prayer request on our website or app. Also, join us on Zoom on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. for Wisdom Wednesdays for a discussion about the previous Sunday's message. We explore and share ideas in a safe and confidential space. The Zoom link is on the website, in the weekly email, and on the app. If you aren't able to join on a computer, you can also call in on a phone. A replay of the talk can be found on our website and on our app, but if you don't have time to watch the talk, feel free to join anyway. The discussions are enriching and enlightening. Next week is the last Sunday of the month, Potluck Day. It's the day that we celebrate the birthdays in the month. Please plan to stay after service next week, and if you are able, bring food. That's the biggie, bring food. Okay, please note there will be no creative cafe and karaoke this week, which will be Easter Sunday. The next creative cafe and karaoke is on the last Sunday of next month. You are all invited to attend the annual meeting of the membership after the morning program on Sunday, April 14th. That's the AGM. We'll hear from our team leads and from our amazing board president, Cliff Dellingham. Please mark your calendars. We are grateful for your gifts, which support our ministry. Many of us contribute with pre-authorized payments, so if you're not placing anything into the contribution basket today, please bless it silently when it comes to you. Then pass the basket along. As we sing our blessing song, please bring to mind something you're grateful for. We are so blessed.
I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Wow. I think I've said wow about 6 times since the beginning of the program today. Thank you so much for Nathan. Oh my gosh. Your voice, your music behind the meditation. We are so blessed. And blessed to have people like Chris who are willing to come up and be the platform person today. Thank you. And thank you to our teams, our greeters, our audiovisual teams, the folks who all work in the background. And thank you to all of you who are here today sharing your energy, your love with each other and with me. I consider myself so blessed. And in a few minutes, I'm going to ask us to sing I Am So Blessed again, standing up and making it true for ourselves as we wave our palms. Before we do that, though, one final announcement, and that is on Friday, on Good Friday, I have always wanted to share the movie Jesus Christ Superstar with the people around me. I love the music. I love the humanness of the story. And so on Good Friday at 2:00 right here, we are going to have a screening of that movie. So please share that message and come if you are able, and we'll have some snacks because movies just aren't complete without snacks. Pardon? And maybe popcorn, and yeah, please join us. It'll be really fun. Daniel's going to bring popcorn. Good Friday is one of those really powerful days that deserve time for contemplation, and this movie will help to make that happen. So, can we stand and we'll sing I Am So Blessed a couple of times, and then move into peace song as however you would like to do it, Maestro. Thank you, and thank you all for being here.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed.
I am so grateful for all that I have.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed.
I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Now, are we all going to get in a circle to sing the peace song?
Sure, I always have this discussion with everyone, but everyone likes the circle, so that's what we're going to do. and Gladys. My lavender, lovely.
Okay, we need to connect this end here.
Oh, sorry, Walt.
Okay.
Close.
We are
That's
psychically
all right.
connected, whether we are physically connected or not.
Correct.
Here we go.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that's meant to be.
I am
The light of God, I am the love of God, I am the power of God, I am the presence of God, wherever I am, God is. I am the light of God, I am the love of God, I am the power of God, I am the presence of God, wherever I am, God is. You are the light of God, you are the light of God, you are the power of God, you are the presence of God, wherever you are, God is. You are the light of God, you are the love of God, you are the power of God, you are the presence of God, wherever you are, God is. We are the light of God, we are the love of God, we are the power of God, we are the presence of God, wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Woo. Join us for coffee downstairs, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. That was so beautiful. Yo, I love you.
And I, you, Diane. Oh.